In CSS and jQuery, you can select elements by their attributes, whether they have the attribute or according to the value of the attribute. In this case, I have some input fields, and some of them have the HTML5 required attribute. They will have a placeholder attribute, and I want to start by selecting only the ones that have the required attribute. Instead of required, it could be that we're selecting the selected elements if we have a drop down, or it could be the checkboxes. So have in mind that this is a very general case that could be applied to anything. Actually, even classes and IDs are at the end of the day simply attributes. So you could also select by those properties using the techniques that we'll show in this lesson. Alright, so let's focus on selecting these ones, and what we'll do to them is add them the highlighted class, basically a yellow background. So I wait for the document to load fully so that all of the elements are available for me to access, and I'm going to use the $sign, and I want to select all the input fields that have the attribute required. And what I'm doing to them is add the class highlighted. Reload the page, you see that those elements are being highlighted. Adding the input here is not really necessary because we don't have other elements that are required. But imagine that you have other elements that share that same attribute, but you don't want to select those. This is how you can sort of narrow your search, because this could also be a class, or it could be a certain ID. Right, so what if I want to select them by the value of the attribute? Say I want to select the email one that has the placeholder with value email. Well, that's very straightforward. I can just write placeholder email. I think this is with uppercase. Needs to be the exact type of case. So that, see how that's selecting the corresponding element. The other selection that I wanted to show you is an attribute that contains a value. So we have here first name and last name, and I want to select all of the elements that have the word name in them. That's fairly simple. What you have to do is add just this before the equal, and that will do the selection that you need. There are you can use regular expressions as well. There are more advanced tutorials on the web if you really want to dig into CSS selectors. But as for our goal, which is to focus on jQuery, this will allow us to select pretty much everything that we need to. So just to summarize, selecting by attribute is actually the most high-level case when compared to selecting by class and by ID, because classes and IDs are also attributes. So you could also select by, like, you could also type, like, class equals this other value, and you use the squared brackets if you're just checking for the attribute to be there or to have the same value. Just type it once, or you can specify with the equal sign the value. And you can also do a bit of a more fuzzy kind of search and get something that contains the value that you specify there. Once you select the elements, they're yours to do whatever you want with. They're yours to play with. You can modify their DOM, modify their styling, animate them, attach events to them. That's the kind of things that you can do with jQuery.